Big, relatively inexpensive and extremely endearing, the Chrysler 300C demonstrates that buying a big car doesn't mean having to go mainstream. Available with a frugal yet powerful 3-litre CRD diesel engine in both saloon and estate guises, the 300C still looks as unique as the day it was launched, and the extra option of a 6.1-litre petrol SRT8 model only adds to its appeal. Chrysler's 300C is a car that's made a surprisingly big impact on the executive sector. Now, though this is a part of the market that's traditionally dominated by the German brands, a significant number of buyers have found this car's sheer value and on-road presence a beguiling prospect. You can see why. Get one of these flashing in your rear-view mirror and you'd move over double quick. Now, the car was updated in 2008, but its basic appeal remains the same. Like a snowy day, there's just something about the 300C that makes it special. At 5,015 millimeters long, this is a substantial hunk of automotive real estate, so it's just as well that rear parking sensors come as standard. But who would drive a car like this? Well, on the exterior, it's about as flamboyant as a four-door saloon gets, but inside, or under the bonnet, perhaps I should say under the hood, lies one of the most eminently sensible diesel engines around. It's also one of the best engines too. Generating 215 brake horsepower, it'll haul this great Chrysler to 60 from rest in just 7.6 seconds on the way to a top speed of 143 miles an hour. It generates a massive 510 Newton meters of torque, and that means that in pulling power terms on the move it doesn't feel much slower than the range-topping 6.1-litre Hemi petrol V8. Perhaps most telling, this diesel engine hails from Graz in Austria, the same place as one Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, even with that amount of torque, 1,928 kilograms of car takes some shifting, but the engine never sounds strained or harsh. The direct injection unit is very linear in its power delivery, and the turbocharger gets going from very low speeds. And that means that even when trickling around town, letting the engine and gearbox do all the work for you, you can still return some very reasonable fuel consumption figures. Now, if you really do want the full-on 300C experience, you'll need 8 cylinders under the bonnet, and for that you'll need the SRT8. Packing a full 425 brake horsepower, that car gets from 60 to 60 from rest in just 5 seconds on the way to a top speed of 168 miles an hour. The 300C really shook up the executive market at its launch with its high waistline, the low roofline, the squat shoulders and its bulldog face, all offering brutal, unmissable presence. Now, it still has all those things, but in 2008 it was upgraded with a few well-judged nips and tweaks. Outside there are changes to the rear light clusters, and the rear boot lid has been restyled to incorporate this little spoiler and high-mounted rear stoplight. Inside there's a slight restyle for the centre console and the instrument cluster, and the instrument dials themselves have got satin silver bezels. There are also much nicer soft touch surfaces on the door panels here, and a darker colour for the interior that gives it the kind of ambience you get on prestige German rivals. Other changes include an ignition key with one-touch startup. You've also got a fully adjustable steering wheel and LED lighting that is not only in the front and rear door pockets but even lights up these cup holders at night. Now, this is a very safe car. You've now got seat-mounted airbags as well as side and curtain bags, and it's also a very spacious and versatile car as well. You've got the most legroom in the class available at the back, and plenty of luggage space as well, whether you go for the saloon or the touring estate. There's 504 litres in the saloon with all the passengers on board, or 630 litres with all passengers in the touring estate, an amount that in the estate rises to a massive 1,602 litres, and that's more than class stalwarts like Saab's 9.5 Estate or Audi's A6 Avant can manage. The touring gives you a rear cargo organiser and of course a cargo cover, but I think if it was me, I might even end up opting for this saloon. you've not only got a very usefully sized boot, it's deep and broad compared to the touring models, slightly shallower and less regularly shaped space. But you can also fold down these rear seats in the saloon to extend the space quite dramatically. Most 300C variants retail in the £28,000 to £34,000 price bracket, although you can pay up to £40,000 or so if you go for the top SRT8 model. Now, those are prices comparable with more conservative but less well-equipped rivals like BMW's 5 Series or Audi's A6. You can get the look and feel of the top SRT8 variant if you opt, as I have here, for the design model of the diesel. Now, the majority of 300C models are based around this 3-litre CRD diesel. For the design, you pay a premium of about £5,000, and if you want the touring estate, there's about a £1,000 premium model for model. Now, in true American fashion, equipment levels are strong across the range. Even entry-level cars get automatic gearboxes, Bluetooth phone integration, metallic paint and ESP stability control. As you'd expect, there are features like a steering wheel that you can adjust for tilt and reach. There's a high-tech alarm and immobiliser system. You've also got a heated driver's seat with power adjustment and a memory function. ABS with brake assist, and enough airbags in here to create a bouncy castle in the event of an accident, with curtain airbags covering front and rear occupants. The top SRT8 model of course adds even more. Stretch out in the generously proportioned cabin, crank up the excellent Boston acoustic stereo while you tick off standard satellite navigation, sports seats, an adjustable pedal set, a dash with much nicer finishes and extra leather. You'd really need to add about £5,000 to the cost of comparable German models to get anywhere near this kind of tally. Now, a 300C 3-litre CRD diesel saloon costs around 57p a mile to run. That's a pretty competitive figure for this class of car. I mean, compare it to a rival like, say, Audi's A6 2.7 TDI S-Line, which costs 63.4p a mile to run. And you have to wonder where the smart money really is going. It's pretty good at the pumps, 34.9 miles to the gallon for this 300C diesel, and you get 215 grams per kilometre of CO2. Insurance is a pretty bargain, Group 16, and Chrysler throws in a full peace of mind warranty package, 3 years or 60,000 miles of European roadside assistance, and 7 years of anti-perforation rust warranty. Now, I remember when I woke up as a small boy and it was snowing like this, and I had that feeling of excitement. And just because you've reached the stage in your life where you need an executive car, why should that passion be missing from that ownership experience? This car really brings it, in contrast to some of the German alternatives. Yet at the same time, it provides you with sparkling performance, good economy and low running costs, whether you go for the saloon here or the touring estate versions. And especially bearing in mind Chrysler's competitive pricing policy, it makes a lot of sense. Bottom line, well, even in entry-level guys, this looks like a £35,000 to £40,000 piece of hardware. And parked next to a BMW or an Audi that costs that much, it's the Chrysler that will draw the more admiring glances. Living larger than life certainly has something to be said for it.